Okay, here we are. Math review part 3. You guys have been so patient and understanding. I do appreciate it. We left off on question 9 and now we're on question 10. And this is the question that I think a lot of people probably had problems with. I myself had to read this 2 or 3 times. A figure has one angle formed from a pair of perpendicular lines. So this kind of goes into like test taking strategies, guys, and underlining key words and phrases in the problem. So we see one angle formed from a pair of perpendicular lines. We know right away that perpendicular lines form a right angle. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my perpendicular lines without even really thinking. There they are. I'm going to draw them like bigger so you can see. It's going into the word problem. One pair of parallel sides. Parallel sides mean that they run side by side, but they're never going to meet or cross. But then there's this other part here though. No sides with equal lengths. Okay. So maybe I'm thinking, well, this side right here that's running up and down is now parallel to this one. They're not equal length. I still have my perpendicular lines, and now I'm just going to connect the top. So if you look, I have a figure now that has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, one right angle from those 2 perpendicular lines, and then I have one pair of parallel sides, but they're not of equal length. So what figure is this? There's only one quadrilateral that has just one pair of parallel sides, and it is you got it, trapezoid. That was the question that caused everybody to make that face. Myself included. All right, moving right along. Question number 11. You're doing this. You're doing great. Dina's teacher asked her to describe the top and bottom edges of her ruler using a geometric term. What term could Dina use? All right. Top and bottom edges of a ruler. What term could Dina use? Let me grab a ruler real quick. I happen to have one right here. There it is. So, don't ever do this at home. I'm looking at this top line right here that I just colored blue, and this bottom line right here. So, what term does that represent? Well, there are 2 lines that are running side by side. They're never going to meet or cross. These are lines that are, you got it, parallel. I guess I should include the word line. All right, guys, we're on the last question here. We're making it through. Question number 12. Oh boy, it's like a lot of figures here. A lot of quadrilaterals and triangles. Shapes are divided into 2 groups. The following shapes do not belong in the group above. So we've got 2 groups. This is group number 1. This is group number 2, I suppose. These do not belong up here. What generalization, meaning like what statement, can be made about the shapes in the first group? Well, it's not that they all have 4 sides because this triangle has 1, 2, 3. When I look at this figure, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, And when I look here, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can't group them based on their sides. I also cannot talk about parallel lines because this figure right here does not have any parallel lines. They all intersect. They all meet or cross. These two do, but not this one. So what is it? Let me look down here at this group of shapes. Well, I guess what I could do, I look at the sides and I see that there's a 3-sided figure, 4-sided figure, a 4-sided figure. I see the lines, but I've already talked about the lines. So what about the angles? Well, that has a right angle. That has a right angle. That has a right angle. None of these figures in group number 1 have right angles. So a statement that I could make would be that the top row of shapes have no right angles. And that's a statement that I could make about those groups of shapes. All right, guys, so you've watched this video. You've watched all part 1, part 2, and part 3. Again, I appreciate your patience and your flexibility. And tomorrow we will work through topic 15 and 16. Mrs. Connor and I sat and we created the test. I promise you're going to do okay. All right, so I will see you guys in the morning, and then I will further explain iReady and Accoletics and all this crazy testing that we're doing. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.